Hello, everyone. A question such as this one posed in an article on the BBC website today is asked fairly frequently about various things, various types of weapons. And there is no one answer to this. This is something I want to explain to folks who are hoping that there's going to be one thing that Ukraine gets that will make it possible to end the war. Not going to happen, folks. There is no panacea. There's no one thing that is going to fix everything and make Russia back off. The only thing that I can think of that would make that even remotely possible is the removal of Putin from power and the handover of Putin to the International Tribunal. That is the only one thing that might potentially make a difference toward the ending of the conflict altogether. But I also want to point out that doesn't mean that this means nothing. The UK Storm Shadow missile, yes, it makes a difference. Yes, this is a huge news. Yes, Ukraine would like to have its own. Yes, Ukraine would like to be able to build its own. Everything makes a difference. The drones make a difference. The UK drones that Ukraine has been using for the long distance strikes makes a difference. The ATACMS make a difference. So all of that together constitutes a line of defense and offense for Ukraine. There's just a lot of pieces to it, and all of these pieces are moving all the time, 24/7. There are now reports from analysts saying that Putin may move to nationalize all of Russia's businesses in order to basically raid private businesses for spare cash to continue this war. And my question is to the Russian oligarchs, that's you, folks. That's you. That is your businesses we're talking about here. What are you going to do about that? So the report comes from the Institute for the Study of War that has been keeping a very close eye, not just on the military events, but also what is happening in Russia economically and politically. And so what they're saying is that Putin could be preparing for widespread nationalization under the broad pretext of defending critical enterprise against Ukrainian strikes. He signed a decree yesterday authorizing Russian government to seize critical infrastructure facilities that do not protect their assets. So this is following the shelling of the Wildberries and Ozone warehouses. Those are probably at the top of the list, and that is going to piss off a lot of people. Not enough to overthrow Putin, but it is going to piss them off. There's going to be a lot of whining and complaining and why Ukrainians can't come and overthrow Putin for them. So that is coming. Meanwhile, there's this mysterious incident of a U.S. military aircraft capable of carrying either cargo or passengers that took off from Riga, Latvia, and landed in Moscow. What the hell? I mean, there are no planned meetings with the members of U.S. administration, not that anyone knows about, unless there's something going on kind of behind the scenes. And so far, nobody is saying anything about what that military aircraft is doing there. But it is definitely an interesting incident and one to watch. Hopefully, we'll see some more details on this. A Kremlin advisor said that UK factories producing drones for Ukraine could come under attack from unknown sources. Sweetie, when you're telling somebody that that is going to happen, it's no longer an unknown source. Somebody should explain to him what an unknown source is. Basically, Russia is threatening UK military-industrial complex with the act of sabotage. This is what this headline really should read. And I trust the UK in this respect. I know not all is well in the UK. Like so many in the US, I have friends in the UK and they're like, oh my God, I hope we're not going by the way of the US. And I agree with them. But in its support of Ukraine, I trust the UK, and I trust that they're not idiots, and they have intelligence agencies too. So basically announcing to them, hey, we don't like you because you are supporting the country we're trying to invade, so we're going to try and sabotage your military-industrial complex. That is just not smart. And speaking of the UK support, UK's Prime Minister Andy Burnham suggested that he might travel to the United States next month to try and persuade Donald Trump to give Ukraine Patriot missiles. The problem is that stock is running low. What Ukraine is asking for is a very specific number, 5% of US Patriot interceptors. And because of the war in Iran, which Trump had started and didn't need to, that particular quantity is getting depleted. Let's not forget that outside of Ukraine, drone warfare is not very advanced. So some of these very expensive missiles are getting wasted on chasing drones, and not always successfully. Ukrainians have figured out how to shoot down drones with drones. Cheap. Or how to use anti-drone measures that don't even require shooting, such as frequency jamming, such as anti-drone nets, for example. But when Ukraine offered those strategies to the US refused. So I don't know if Andy Burnham will succeed where Zelensky had failed. And once again, if Trump promises anything, stick the piece of paper right in front of him and make him sign it right there and then. Because he's going to forget about it, or he's going to backpedal on it the following day. That is how that works. But at the same time, I'm glad that there is a European coalition that is spearheaded by Germany, France, and the United Kingdom that is working on its own options for an equivalent to the US Patriot missiles. I think that is a good thing. And now that we have pissed off Canada, I think Canada is going to join in as well, especially since Canada has one of the biggest Ukrainian diasporas in the world. More to come.